Greetings and salutations, everybody. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I appreciate it very, very much. And thank you to the people that comment and reach out through emails and stuff like that. I always forget to put the email that you can reach me at in show info, but to the people who track it down, anyways, I'm gonna remember this time. That's just not a habit I've been getting into, so I'll write it down, okay? Um, Maybe I'll actually do that right now. But today's episode, I wasn't sure what I wanted to speak about, and I had a bunch of stuff written down as usual. And I like being unpredictable. That way, the dark doesn't know what you're going to be doing. The mind always needs to know what you're going to be doing, right? They need to know your next move. And that's I love the saying by Osho. It says spontaneity is right because the mind is the manipulator. So like if you have a preconceived notion of the way something's going to turn out, you're mentally trying to project that outcome, and so it's that leads to all sorts of crap. First of all, it leads to psychic attack energy from you and maybe the other people involved wanting the outcome to be a certain way. But also it leads to disappointment if it doesn't turn out that way. So non-attachment is really good, not being attached to outcomes, or having preconceived notions of how things should be, and that just makes life easier in general. But today's episode, I wanted to speak about planning for the new year, and it's not something. Don't really do resolutions. If you follow CLS, they do seeds of intention for the year. So going through and stating what your intentions are. And so I've been doing that the past couple, I don't know, I'd say a week or so. And you don't have to go crazy with it. You don't need 45 New Year's resolutions. Maybe you only have two or three intentions for the year. Maybe your intention this year, that all your goal is that you intend to save up for a car. Maybe it's to grow your business, whatever it is. Heart-based intentions, just it doesn't have to be something too crazy. You don't have to make these outlandish claims. A lot of times if you do that, I've done a 5-year plan, and it didn't even go close to his plan. So what's the point? You have to be nimble and adapt. And so this week I wanted to speak about what my first intention of the year was, and I'm not rushing them. I'm kind of sitting with them and saying, okay, well, what comes up for me? And so my first one this year was grace. And if you've ever looked at the definition of grace, it's got quite a few definitions, but I'd forgotten some of them. And so actually, I'm going to read them to you guys, if you don't mind. I'm not going to share my screen, but that way, because sometimes, in our silly English language, and all language is limitations. So, but obviously, English is much, much more. But there's a lot of definitions to it, but I kind of forgot about some of them. And so you think of grace, you might have, I'll ask you, when you think of the word grace, what immediately comes up? And, bless our lovely English language, one word, many, many meanings can be confusing, but let's look at some of the meanings of grace. So seemingly effortless beauty or charm, movement, form, or proportion. So I like that idea of grace for this year. I want to have more seemingly effortless beauty or charm of movement, or just moving through my life with more grace. I was raised, we'll just say, with people or by people with very short tempers on both sides of my family, and so grace. I'm working on my anger management issues. I'm still working on my triggers. That, as I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned on this show, but that was the best gifts that I got for Christmas were my triggers, because your triggers are your gifts, because those are the opportunity that your body brings up from its genetics, and however you want to talk about our reality and how it's constructed for us, we'll say. But when you want to overreact to something or react in a predictable manner, those are your opportunities. So your triggers are your gifts. Those are the only opportunities you're ever going to have to overcome that issue. Is when it comes up and you get triggered and you want to respond, you want to blow your lid or blow a gasket or whatever the thing is, the saying is, those are the opportunities to react differently. And that happened to me. I think the first time where I was like consciously that I'm not going to react differently is working on my motorcycle a few years ago, and something happened, and like old me would have just lost my shit. Fuck this, fuck that, throw a wrench or whatever. And because it was very frustrating and I ended up hurting my finger or whatever. And just, and I got up and I just yelled one solid fuck. And that was it. And I didn't let it get more than that. It was like, okay, I'm upset, but I'm not going to let it take any more of me. That's when I started learning about life force energy. And so it's, difficult to break those old bad habits when you're just, when you're raised like that, when, if you're conditioned or you saw when you were young, just outright anger and rage if something doesn't go your way, then that's kind of how you think you're supposed to react, or it's ingrained in you. So anyways, I've been working on that over the past few years. It's just reacting differently. So when something comes up, it's easy to say you've overcome the trigger, or you're not like that, and then until it slaps you in the face, and then it's a different game. So then it's a prime time live, and you're in the show, right? So it's easy to say you're peaceful and graceful, but when something comes up that really triggers you, or someone gets in your face, how do you react then? So I'm still working on that stuff. I'm by no means got it all figured out, and that's what everybody's got, their own deck of cards, or their own hand of cards that they're playing. But so let's continue down some of the definitions of grace. So a characteristic or quality pleasing for its charm or refinement, a sense of fitness or propriety, a disposition to being generous, helpful, or goodwill, mercy or clemency, a favor rendered by one who needs not to do so, an indulgence, temporary immunity or exemption, a reprieve. And then there's some, sisters, three goddesses in Greek mythology, don't really care about those. Divine favor bestowed freely on people, as in granting redemption from sin. That's related to religion, not really my thing. An excellence of power granted by God. Geez, they're really ingrained that guy in our pop culture, eh? A short prayer or blessing. Don't want to do prayers before Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving said before or after a meal. Music, cool. A trill or other musical ornament in the music of the 16th and 17th century. So grace to honor or favor, to give beauty, elegance, or charm to, and yeah, music again. So to embellish with grace notes. So there's a, or in bad graces, out of favor with, in good graces, in favor with. So I like the idea of just being graceful, not only in what you do, but gracious towards yourself. So if you're watching the show, and all of us, just show a lot of graciousness to yourself, and compassion, loving compassion. That's true mastery, and it starts at home. If we can't do that to ourselves, so if something happens, and even if we're silently beating ourselves up in our mind, that's how we're going to project to the other world. If we beat ourselves up, we're going to beat other people up, and that's just the natural way. And so we really have to start doing that. And then the alien projected holographic reality, karma, the setups and spiritual agreement. If that's how we feel about ourselves on the inside, those are things that are going to show up. And we've been duped by it, because we always thought the mirror reflection was that. But those things are in us that want to come out. They're in our genetics. So it's like, well, they know we're going to get set up with this. We're going to get some emotional loosh from this person, putting them through this scenario, because they get a lot of anger or emotion out of them. So all you have to do during those periods, all we can do, is not give it our life force. And I'm noticing it so much more now. You don't notice how much it takes your life force when you're young. Maybe at least I didn't. Maybe because we have a lot more vitality. But as you get older, you realize it, like anger or upset or sadness, grief, all those really extreme emotions that make you swing on the pendulum, even overexcitement and happiness and all that stuff. It takes a lot out of you. And we don't realize that we're feeding it to entities, or just sucking it up with a siphon. And so when we're at peace, and we're calm, and we're graceful, and we have that quality to us, nothing can disturb us. Nothing can get our emotional reaction. Nothing can take our life force from us, because we're not giving it away. We're not leaking energy in duality. And so take a couple of those definitions of grace. Maybe I like the grace period. Give yourself a grace period. I talked about years ago doing a micro retirement. If you haven't tried that yet and you have the means to do so, just do it. Or even if you don't have the means, figure it out. Because we all need that grace period. We all need a period of grace to take some time to figure out what's going on in here, to figure out what, we're so in this culture, especially North America, it's so focused on the outside world. And the kingdom is within. And most people have no idea. They've never stepped even foot inside the door. They've never even said hello in there, because it's so scary to look inside, because we fear what's going to come up and the things that are actually inside of us. And that's nothing to fear, because it's not our fault. It is literally the genetic cellular memory, DNA, of all of our ancestors. So wherever you are now, 99.9% of the crap that you had is not yours. You have what you've dealt with in this life, but don't take it personal, because it's literally the culmination of all your genetic lineage. So all the thoughts, all the beliefs, feelings, experiences, traumas, dramas, everything that your ancestors have experienced have been recorded in their genetic cellular memory, and lo and behold, it's been passed on to you. So, and if you guys have seen some of my other episodes of why it's hard to heal, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. And so when you understand how difficult it is to heal, give yourself some grace, that loving compassion, that peace energy that you so desperately need, that maybe no one else ever gave to you in your life. Maybe you didn't get it from your family. And because even love is in duality. So, it's love, there's like the saying, there's a thin line between love and hate. So give yourself the graciousness of just peace, some peace and quiet. If you could move to the mountains for a year or a month or two or whatever, even just go there and be with yourself. And I'm learning to do that now. My life is very much different than it was a few years ago. And today it's very, very cold out today, and I bundled up and I wore 2 pairs of jogging pants under my jeans and 3 coats and 2 pairs of mitts and 3 toques. And I went up it was really sunny, but it was quite cold, but I went out for a beautiful hour-and-a-half walked, through the forest, down by the stream, down by the lake, hung out with the geese and the ducks and the swans, and it was beautiful. And there's no more important work that you can do in this lifetime than reconnecting with your spirit. And a lot of times being around people, we use it as a distraction. If you've ever heard that even social stimulation, well, stimulation, it's no different than any other type of stimulation. So a lot of people use that as an escape. I did for years and years and years. I was always busy, just had a crazy social life, lots of, great friends, and I don't regret any of that. I'm so grateful for those times. But I also realized that I was maybe trying to escape going within, and it's not easy to do. Even the first little while, it's the toughest work you'll ever have to do, to let go of your old life, to not call the girl back, to not call the person that maybe a friend that you had a falling out with, or said that you just can't do it anymore. And then you're going to sit there, and the mind always needs closure, or always needs to figure things out and understand it. Like curiosity killed the cat. So we do have creative capacities within us, but a lot of times our innocence and curiosity can lead us down places, especially in our own minds, that it's tough to get out of. And that's the difficult thing, is that, as I mentioned, you're overcoming thousands and thousands of years of programming and mind control. So please be gracious with yourself. Give yourself that grace period. Give yourself that time to do whatever. And as I've mentioned on a previous episode about myself with working out and everything, I don't know if I mentioned starting Qigong, but this year I started doing it, and it's amazing. I've made more progress with balance in my body than the past 20 years of trying to work out and trying different things, jogging, this, that, doing P90X and hurting myself. And I've mentioned before how many times I hurt myself doing workouts, trying to lift too much. And it was all because of the ego, and so it's all, it's all as a means to an end. Oh, like, what's your reason? What's the intention behind it? And it was always like, well, I got to get buff for the summer to look good at the beach, not. Now I do Qigong because I love doing it. I love moving gracefully. I love the flow of it. I love getting my life force energy moving in a healthy manner, because I didn't always. And a lot of our issues in our lives, whether it be emotions, blocked energies. It comes from stagnation of chi or your life force energy. So maybe start doing qigong this year because it's gracious. You know, where if you've been working out, and a lot of the workouts are just designed, they're just pure mind energy. It's all ego based. It's all like, you know, taking supplements to look jacked, and it's all P90X, and it's all no pain, no gain. That is not of the heart. That is all outcome based. That is all mind based. That's all ego based. It's all, you know, wanting to look good. It's vanity based. Whereas me doing qigong, I don't care. I do it in my backyard in my pajama pants and a tank top in the summer, and I'm just enjoying it. And you know what? There's another thing is I had to get over that stage fright of doing it out in the backyard, because it's like growing up, I always wanted somebody to teach me martial arts, or you know, like I didn't have a family member that did that with me. And so I didn't have somebody that was outside doing qigong with me, which I wish I would have had, but I have it now because I am doing that. It's kind of like the old reparenting the inner child. And I know that's like some people are for and against it, but at some point you have to bring that inner child in and integrate it into the whole person that you are now. You don't want to separate yourself out because you just have your spirit in this now moment. So, you know, if you have an inner child and higher self, you're dividing yourself out. And then, you know, it's not you in wholeness. I've mentioned that before, and I think on a short, that's what I believe what they meant Holy Spirit was. It wasn't some, you know, Holy Ghost outside of you that belongs to God, Holy. The point is that we need to be Holy Spirit, WHOLE, whole, Holy Spirit. We need to be 100% spirit, or as close to as possible, in our bodies. So we need to get more of us in us. We need to call our spirit back, command our spirit back from all the traumas and dramas and everything that we've experienced in our lives, or imagined even in the things, like even when we are thinking about the past or the future, that's like off being in a parallel universe. We're not present in the moment. And so that's why I love doing qigong. It's not a means to an end. Like I'm not doing qigong because I'm going to be able to you know, curl 40 pounds 30 times, or not going to be able to bench press triple plates or whatever it is. Like, there's no outcome based goal of doing qigong except for the love of doing it. You're going to get balanced energy. You're going to have better, like I've had, I think, better postural and better spinal alignment and adjustments from a few months of doing qigong than, you know, doing yoga and all that stuff. And I realized how out of alignment my spine actually was. So I'm trying to focus on those types of things and have better balance. And even, you know, just sitting here, I was probably doing it when I started the show, but I realized that when I would sit down to write, I would kind of have this slump. And that's from years, you know, starting in the indoctrination stations when we're young at school and spending so many years sitting at desks, just pure conditioning for absolute insanity. But I had developed a really poor posture, and you think, well, sit up straight. I didn't even know what straight was, because I'm getting releases in my back and spine and shoulders that I didn't know. So my straight, you know, standing up straight for me was not straight. It was hunched over. It was misaligned and everything. And so for myself, qigong is part of my grace, part of my seed of intention for this year, being more gracious, giving myself that grace period when I have something triggers me or I get upset. Give myself a little bit of a grace period. Don't let it stew for days. Don't keep recycling it. Just say, okay, go for a nice walk and give yourself the grace to let it go. A lot of times our mind, we keep reprinting traumas and dramas in our brains over and over again because we're conditioned to do that. Like, we want to keep reanalyzing, oh, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? It just is. Don't look back. It's not worth it. You know, be conscious next time. You know, and don't beat yourself up for the past, because that's what the dark side wants you to do. They don't want you to move forward. They want you to keep recycling the same crap over and over. That's why you see the same types of stuff in the news over and over and over again. So yeah, I don't know if I ever shared you know, all these sayings up on my, you know, all these little cutouts and stuff. You can't really see what they say, but they kind of look like that. So this one that I have written there is just reminders, and I put them up all over, kind of like puzzle pieces. And what am I working on today? Spirit, what do I need to see? And a lot of times one will fall off because they're just held on by tape, or maybe if I make in my bed, one will get flipped up against another one, and I'll be like, maybe that's the one I need to read today. But today, that one says, true peace and mastery are to be gentle and extend grace and loving compassion, no matter what the stress levels are. So that starts with yourself first. How are you ever going to treat others with compassion? And if you can't treat yourself with compassion, And we don't realize how the negative self-talk creeps in, because we're not taught that it's not us. It's not our spirit. Our spirit doesn't communicate with us through our minds. It's the past. It's the thoughts, beliefs, traumas and dramas, and everything from your ancestors and the entities. And like it's crazy how bananas it is here, and how absolutely mind-blowing the amount of mind control and manipulation and deception that's going on here on this planet. So that's why you really need to give yourself grace, and like honestly, leave the world behind is not a bad recommendation, because it's so ingrained here that you have to really be dedicated to working on yourself, to making changes. And it's not easy, because things are going to happen and it's going to want to drag you back. And even myself, I get dragged back, get in an argument maybe with a family member who we don't see eye to eye on stuff, and that's like, oh, they got me again. And it's like, but it's difficult. So but really just working on it. Don't stop doing the commands, don't stop doing your clearings. For myself, it's not this set it and forget it. Life goes on. I love it's Morihei Ueshiba. I don't know if I've mentioned him on the show before, but he's the founder of Aikido, and I really like the book. He wrote The Art of Peace, and so he talks about the true warrior is always engaged in a life and death struggle for peace, and that's every moment. Now, again, now. Am I going to be thinking, oh my God, what? I can't believe I said that last week. Oh my God, the bill's due next week. I don't have the money in the bank, or am I going to be present here, deliver this video to you guys, even though we're not sitting together physically. But that's why I love doing the show, because it brings me into the present moment. And I like not really having an agenda about it. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. Everybody's able to decide for themselves. That's the beauty of creation, is that we have free will to experience what we want, whether it's darkness and mind energy, being stuck in hell, which is the past or the future, or being present in the now, from your heart, with no preconceived notions, no belief systems, no religious doctrines to whatever. Like, it just is. It's just right now. It's just creation in this moment. And there's a lot of nonsense. If we're always looking at the news, how are we going to stay in a graceful state? That's not going on in the outside world. We're being manipulated to believe that stuff. Trust me, I do photography and video. I know how to do camera tricks. I know I studied magic as a kid. I know all the tricks. And we're all being duped by technology. We think it's just smoke and mirrors and video cameras and CGI. It's so much more than that. It's holographic imagery. You can't even tell me that what you see around you isn't a hologram. We live in a holographic reality. A holographic, alien-generated reality that we've been living in 99.9% of our lives, and nobody knows it. And so they can farm our loosh or our emotional energies, our body energies, anytime we're giving energy off. The unseen force is slurping it up. So that's why you need to give yourself grace, is because shit is so sideways here that you're getting signals, beams, thoughts, projections. You're getting so much crap sent to you that the last thing you need is more stuff from you internally. So there's so much crap going on and coming at us, trying to kill us, that we need to be, first of all, so extremely present, conscious, aware with our attention, because we're never going to get out of this by your mind can't free you from your mind. Only your heart can do that in the present moment. And so much of our issues and things that even whether it be arguments with family, friends, or things that trigger us, it's all from the past. And I love when I make these like little things, when you stop getting attached to the outcomes and the storytelling behind it, or the expectations. I had a lot of expectations on myself, and a lot of them were from my family, but then I took them on unknowingly, because I was the firstborn grandson. All my cousins, 11 of them, were all girls before me. So I was like, oh, finally a boy, you're going to carry on the family name, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. So I always felt this like crazy, to grow up and get married and carry on the family name, and 42, don't have kids. But you know what, like Ron said, and I've read too, Neil Donald Walsh, I think, Conversations with God, not a fan of that term, but they both mentioned about how we shouldn't be having kids until later in life, and because that's the whole point, is we're supposed to clean ourselves out of all of our judgments and all our genetic cellular memory, and the clear out our emotional bodies. And I know that none of us are taught this, because it took me 40, well, we'll say about 40 years to find it. And so some of you are probably on a similar path. So it's going to take a lot to get rid of it. It's constant work every day. I wake up in the mornings on timelines from dreams and feeling weird and like, what the heck, like dreams, don't even get me started on those, because those are dark side holograms to take our emotional energies when we're not in these bodies. So don't read too much into your dreams, because they mean nothing except they were dark side scripts meant for you to spill emotional energy in a dark side universe. But anyways, I'll do a separate episode on that. But I just want you guys to know that every day you have to do the work. Maybe there's a point after ascension or whatever that we're going to get there, and there won't be any more mind energy, so we won't have to worry about it so much. But until that time, it's really up to us to do the work, to go within, to see what's coming up for us. Everybody's got a different hand, so your issues might not be the same as mine, but but like I said, every day I wake up. Yesterday was no different. And I wake up and I'm like, had this weird dream, and it's 3 a.m. and a lot of times I just get up and go do qigong and get on with my day, and I'm like, okay, well, if I have to take a nap, rather than trying to fight, well, I got to sleep for 8 hours, and then you're tossing and turning for 3 hours, that's no good. So sometimes it's very difficult, and it's like I wake up from a dream, and I'm on this timeline of like, why was that person in my dream? Like, that was very, the other one, I guess I had something kind of like a nightmare, because I woke up and my heart was just pounding, and I hadn't had one of those in a while. Like, there they go, getting my energy from dreams. And so it takes, conscious deep breathing, doing commands as soon as I get out of bed. And then, sometimes it's like, I don't know if I should be sleeping a little bit longer. And then I drift back off, and it's like, okay, now I'm just sitting here thinking about the dream, and it's not healthy. Like, thinking is in direct opposition to the light. The light only works in the now. So when you're thinking, you're literally just like wasting energy, because so it's like, okay, get up, sweep the house or whatever. But doing the commands, I command my spirit to bring all of me back to me. I command my body and spirit to disconnect from all parallel lives, all false realities, which is just thinking most of the time, just even daydreaming or thinking about the past or the future. It's bring yourself back into the present moment. Be present, be the witness, be the observer, or do something that, when you're in peace, being creative and time stops, that's really as close as we're ever going to get to being in source energy, with not hooked up to mind energy. So I know that when I'm doing something that I love, like playing music or whatever, or even doing the show, I don't look at the time, because I'm just in the moment and I'm enjoying it, and I'm going with the flow. I'm not reading from a script. I don't have an agenda. I don't have, sign up, like, you're a piece of shit, so I'll give you this this solution to your problems. Sign up below and take my masterclass. Masterclass is life. It's every step of the way. It's within. So anybody who tells you that they have your answers is lying to you or trying to manipulate you into buying something. It's dark side mind energy. So although I'd love you to subscribe to my channel and share it and stuff like that, because I do need to make a living, so maybe I'll sell some t-shirts or my book, because I wrote a book based on an experience that I had. So that would be a cool way for people to support me, so I can keep the show going. And I want to make a movie and some other shows. That's part of my things that I want to do in my lifetime, and my intentions is to just bring this to a wider audience. And I want to do it in a fun manner, and life's meant to be enjoyed. We're meant to play here, and I believe that we're going to see, we get to create that reality from, don't want to create timelines for people, but I want to create a timeline where maybe we get to see the beauty of the earth in its original blueprint before ascension. How cool would that be, to see what the earth was like before all the mind energy and all the inventions and everything took it over? So let's work towards that together. I think everybody's tuckered out. We're at the end of it here. This is the end of the show, the end of the game, the final act, if you will. It's a stalemate, and everybody loses or everybody wins. Like, let's stop fighting and just enjoy it, and go on to the next incarnation. Because I'd really like to be an eagle in my next life. So I want to go into a universe of light and be an eagle. I think that would be a pretty cool. Any bird would be so cool. I love birds. Just so fascinated by the way they fly and the all their wings spans and the different shapes and the different everything about birds is so beautiful and interesting. And you can that's probably why I love aviation. But aviation is just such a crude form of nature's true creation of light and birds and just the magic of how they fly and the physics and g forces they can withstand and the way their wings move. We could never replicate that with tin cans and strings and even mechanics with our computers these days. We'll never get to that. So there's no substitute for being a bird, even though flying's awesome. Now I forget what I was saying. I got sidetracked. But finding out what inside going within. There's no book, there's no manual for that. And it's just every step of the way, moment by moment, finding what brings you creative joy in life, doing things that make you happy, and even doing old things in a new way. So my seed of intention, grace, that seemingly effortless thing. And I know that men, growing up where I grew up, men were not taught to be graceful. You be hard, boys don't cry, and not associating crying or showing emotions with not being graceful. But we weren't taught to be graceful. We were taught to be brutes. We were taught to fight in hockey and do all this stuff and be tough and be strong and and so. But who says that being graceful can't be masculine? Maybe that's why we've fallen so far away. Women aren't graceful anymore. Men aren't graceful. We've fallen from grace. Women are men now. Men are women, and we've just everybody's sideways. But what would the Garden of Eden look like? I'm sure Adam and Eve in a pristine utopia, earth without any mind energy, without any negativity, without any things that bite or sting or try to kill us. What would that look like? Well, men would be graceful, and so would women. There would be no reason to be brutes because we would have nothing to defend against. And that there would be no duality, and that would just be perfect peace all the time. And so, that's something that I'm working on. Not only being, giving myself, being gracious towards myself, and when I maybe make mistakes or seeming mistakes, missed takes, take. So take another shot. Don't worry about it. There are no mistakes. There's just learning lessons, and you can adapt and improvise and overcome. But so grace, doing things in a calm, graceful manner, a calm, graceful confidence, and maybe some of the things that you do in this life don't change, but how you do them. Can you do those things gracefully? Can you make your coffee gracefully? Can you do the dishes gracefully? Rather than muscling through them and not being present and thinking and just enjoying that moment, the eternal now moment. Maybe sweeping gracefully. I used to say chores. I resented, because it was in my genetics. I resented doing chores, probably because some of my family owned a hotel and a restaurant, and they were raised into that, so they were always doing chores. It was part of the family business, so they were doing chores. When kids should have been playing outside, they were doing chores. Peeling potatoes, sweeping floors, cleaning bathrooms, and so maybe that's why in my genetics I had this resentment towards doing chores. And so at some point a few years ago, when I started learning about life force, and even more so now in the past couple of years, really when I started qigong, that's when I started doing things super gracefully. And I don't know if I mentioned on the show before, sometimes I get confused on, because I do other shows and things like that and have conversations, and so sometimes I forget what I share on this one, so my apologies if I repeat it. But I didn't do chores in a graceful manner. It was always looking to get done. So doing it haphazardly, in haste, kind of almost resentful, pissed off that you have to be doing it. You'd rather be doing other things. I wish I had somebody to do this for me, blah, 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 storytelling. Now, there was a point where I turned off the vacuum and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sweep. And because you can sweep gracefully. And now, instead of making it a chore, I don't do it when I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it if that's what I was mentioning to somebody the other day, is if you say, oh, I do chores at Saturday at 7 a.m., I'm not one of those people. I need the spontaneity, because the other day I woke up and I was doing chores at 3 a.m. and I was sweeping. If you have to want to do it, and when you're engaged in it, when you just can't wait to do it. I was actually looking forward to sweeping that time, because I couldn't sleep and I needed something to occupy my mind that was beneficial. That it's something that needs to be done. But I just did it. I was kind of in a sleepy mood. I didn't want to do it with haste. I just did it almost like qigong, like very peacefully and back and forth, and like just moving with the flow rather than And so I actually opted for sweeping for instead of vacuuming all the time. And now when I vacuum, I try to do that gracefully as well. But the vacuum is kind of loud and noisy and a little bit of annoying. Sometimes I don't always want to hear it, especially if I wake up at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. So I'll just sweep and I'll do the vacuuming every once in a while to get the stuff that maybe slips through the old bristles. But sometimes the things that we do in life might not change, and that's the thing about becoming more and getting more spirit in your body, becoming more spiritual. It's just about living in the present moment without resentment, without tension, without any preconceived notion about the future or the past or storytelling. I shouldn't have to do this or blah 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 this or blah blah that or whatever it is. So a lot of times, maybe if you have an awakening or you get more of your light, it's not the what but the how that changes. You just do it gracefully, you just do it peacefully, you do it with effortless movement and enjoyment, just because you want to, not because somebody told you you have to, not because you put it on the calendar, not because you're obligated to, but because you want to, because you enjoy the movement. That's what we're here to do in these bodies, is be creative in 3D. And that's why we have a body here, is to be creative. We're not here to work hard. We're not here to be slaves to time. That's all going away. There's going to be a split in time, if you will. It's the end times, because literally that's what ascension is. It's the people who decide, hey, you know what, we're tired of being slaves to time. We've been doing this over and over and over and over again, being recycled into the reincarnation trap, the dark side. Very, very clever hologram that gives you, oh, you believe in Jesus? Your mom and dad died, and then they give you those holograms after you die, and your spirit is so naive and can't tell the difference, and then it gets sucked back in, and bam, here you are in another body, so they can harvest your life force energy for another lifetime, and then another lifetime, and then another lifetime, and then another lifetime. You notice the word lifetime. Well, it's time to transcend that, and that's what doing the work is. That's why homesteading is important to our ascension, is because that allows us to get out of time. We don't need time in our reality, especially being slaves to it. Punching the clock, working for the man every night and day, all that stuff. And so if you can be present in the moment and do things so you're not doing them as a means to an end, oh, I got to get this done before 2. Well, just don't have those expectations. Just be in the present moment. And that's what I'm looking to do, is that when I do things that I used to loathe doing chores, now I look forward to them. I look at it as like, I love taking care of my place. I love taking care of my house. It's an extension of my consciousness. It has its own consciousness, and I love taking care of it, but on my terms. I don't call them chores anymore. And so I just say I'm going to sweep. I don't say I gotta do chores, or it's just not that. I either have to wash the bathroom or sweep, or tickle the house with the brush, whatever. Make it playful, make it silly. Stop being so serious, because life isn't so serious. And that's the problem, is that we end up taking it so seriously. We get stuck into these habitual mind patterns and programs and controls, and it's time to break free of all that. And I'm just learning it. I'm going through the process, and that's why I'm doing this show, is because it's not an easy process. Like, everybody's selling you the fucking pill. Everybody's selling you the, buy this book and you'll have your life figured out. That's not true. It's all mind energy. It's all lies. It's all snake oil, because you're just going to get trapped deeper down the rat hole. And so the point is to climb out of it. We have to backpedal out of here, release all our judgments, release everything, release all the genetic cellular charge, clean out our emotional bodies, release our attachments to the past, everything, all the judgments. That's what got us in here and stuck in here in the first place. And so it's a lot to process. So be gracious with yourself. Take a grace period if you need to really go in and process this stuff, to take the time to go through some of these things. I know some of the stuff that I speak about doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me a few years ago, and it's almost unfathomable. And that's how big the duping is here. But it will start to make sense. You'll hear something, and then maybe you have an implant, a mind control thing that's not letting you hear it properly. I went through the same stuff. I've listened to a lot of the CLS shows over and over again, and a lot of times when we hear something, it's like we have that cognitive dissonance, where our brain or our mind or whatever, or body or the false construct of our reality that we've created for ourselves doesn't want to let us hear the actual truth. We're so resistant to change that because the mind in its set patterns and ways is comfortable. It's comfortable in its prison because at least it's familiar. That's why it's scared of the light. It wants to hang on to what it knows. It's scared to move forward. It's scared to move, and it's, I'm not saying this as like a holier than thou or higher than thou, because I'm in the thick of it. I might have been worse off from in it than most people, because I went down through some very dark days with drugs and alcohol, things like that. And I didn't know it was entities. I didn't know it was dark side, all this stuff. Like you see it and intellectually conceptualize it, but it's so much to process that it's going to take a few years. It's going to take some time. You could probably snap your fingers and get rid of it, but it's so deeply ingrained in us, in our DNA, that we do need some help. We do need that grace, period. We do need that graciousness from ourselves and from the people around us. And if you're not getting it from the people around you and they don't understand, well, you have to remove yourself from those situations. As hard as it is, it's very difficult. And it might seem like you're going crazy, and to them you probably are, and to your mind, because they're stuck in the mind trap. So you're not losing your mind, you're removing yourself from it, and you're moving yourself. That's what I was mentioning to a friend, and trying to convey about, like, saying people lost their mind, and you can lose your mind, but most people are lost in their mind. We've all been lost in mind for thousands of years, thousands of lifetimes. So you're not losing your mind. You've been lost in your mind for most of your your incarnations here, and so have I. I might be the worst, like Walter Mitty. I always say that, and I'm working on it daily. I get slip into fantasizing about the future, even not fantasizing, even just thinking about the future. You're not fully present, and I use the example of like being in the shower, but you're planning your day. You're not even present. Like, that's why I'm gracious, being present, washing my body, saying thank you, body, for all the crap and bullshit I put you through. Thank you for being so resilient. Being where you are, that's true spirituality, is being present in the eternal now. Everything else is all just crap. It's all crap. What you want to be is centered in this moment, balanced, wholly here now with your spirit. There's nothing other than that. There's no secret. Presence is the secret. Calling your spirit back to you. That's the secret. It's not thinking. It has nothing to do with thinking. It has nothing to do with learning more. It has nothing to do with reading books. This is it. The eternal now. Just being present with yourself. Being grateful for this little incarnation that you have, and knowing that you can get out of here, and that not everybody's going to do it, but putting in the work to get your spirit back into your body, because we're not taught that. I didn't know it, even the books that we were raised on, none of that taught. I didn't find this stuff out until about 2 years ago. I always knew it deep down. Your heart and mind know it. They search for it. They search for it and search for it and search for it, and down a lot of different rabbit holes. But really, it's all inside of us. Your spirit has all the tools necessary. It knows about ascension, but we're not taught this. So we need help. And through the commands and the clearings, those things are helping us get our spirit back into our body, so we can become more spiritual, have more spiritual integrity. And that's the only mission that we have left here at this point. Whether you share it with anybody else or not, or just do it yourself, is to help people connect with the divinity within themselves. So any other cause, saving the whales, all that stuff, it's all great. It's all fine and dandy. But really, we need to connect with the divinity in ourselves, because latching on to causes, or jobs, or overworking, or trying this or trying that, trying to be this or trying to do that or whatever, a lot of that is hooking up our wagon to crap that's not important. It's really about connecting with ourselves. How much I tried to help others, or got sucked into helping others or organizations or this or that, because it's all ego based. Well, we want to feel so good, like, I helped the homeless today. Did that in any way, shape, or form help the outside world? No. Did it bring your spirit more into you? No. It's all ego based. Practically all forms of philanthropy are all ego based. People don't need our help. We need our help. there's very few people here that are qualified to help others. They might think that they are because they read books and they did a lot of self-help things and they went to a fucking Tony Robbins seminar and they read fucking Jim Rohn and Think and Grow Rich. And so, they're really, they teach you how to live in the matrix. So they teach you how to use your mind to live in the mind and to manipulate others, think how to win friends and influence people. All mind energy, has nothing to do with your spirit, has nothing to do with true ascension, has nothing to do with going home into the light, because that's all mind energy. So the light only works in the now. You're either in your heart in the present moment or you're stuck in your mind, which is hell. And life is in the now. So when you're in the present moment, that's life. Your mind is death. Two energies, blocked and unblocked, life or death, now or past or future. And it's really hard for me, even me, to understand these concepts. So I'm working through them with you guys. And thank you for tuning into this show and allowing me to share it from my perspective and my own unique expression, because that's what it's about, is finding your own unique expression, your own way to do it. And that I really did that when I started DJing and trying to find my own vibe and stuff. And back in the days when we used to have, I met a group of friends and we'd have a once a month party or rave. And there was certain types of music that were being played, and I was into that type, but I wanted to change. And people were like, "Well, you're going to lose your audience," and I was like, "Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not being true to myself if I keep just doing something because other people want to hear it. I have to, that's the work. Is you're really going to create awesome art. You're really going to create something beautiful. You're really going to create something original when you do it from your heart. Because if you're just doing it based on what's popular or what you think other people are going to want to hear." And it's not to say that you shouldn't do things like it's really difficult to make a living if nobody wants to buy your art, but it's okay to do things that never see the light of day. There's so many things that I do that I don't share with the world. There's so many mixes that I've done just because I love doing them. So many things that I just recorded a mix on a Friday afternoon, and that's never going to see the light of day, just because I really love that music and I wanted to hear it, because I've never heard that music mixed together. I've never heard it mixed in that way, and I want something to listen to when I'm working on my motorcycle or whatever it is. So our creative projects don't always necessarily have to reflect things that we're doing full time, or things, like oftentimes I found trying to make a living doing my creative stuff made it seem like a chore. It stopped becoming peaceful and fulfilling for me, because it was like a job. And it's like, then I didn't really feel creatively inspired when I was on my off time. It's like when I was doing something full time, it's like, well, I'm not really working on my passion projects because I'm getting paid to do it. And it's cool, don't get me wrong. It's great to get paid to do what you love, but then at some point you're just, you don't have full creative control over it, or you're doing it for a client and they want this. And it's like, okay, well, you don't have the final say. So sometimes, things change. And so just do things that are creative to you. Take that grace period. I had something else I wanted to say, but I didn't make any notes. But anyways, thank you guys for helping me express myself and get this out in a manner that makes sense to me. And hopefully that you can share it with people. I'd really love it if you think maybe somebody would resonate with it. And I know that, not everybody's going to resonate. There's a lot of people out there maybe saying something similar, but we all have kind of people that we have I guess, like an inclination towards. So maybe you don't want to listen to somebody with an Indian accent. No offense against Indian accents. I have a lot of Indian friends. I love their accents. But maybe Joe down the street doesn't want to listen to, I could be saying the same thing, but or somebody from India could be saying the same thing that I'm saying, but Joe doesn't want to listen. Maybe he wants to listen to me. Maybe he doesn't think that some of the concepts that guy's talking about make sense to North Americans. But then he hears somebody like Rob, who was born and raised in Canada, and he's like, oh, that guy's, I can resonate with that guy because he's familiar, but some of the stuff he's talking about is kind of wacky, but maybe he's going to be more inclined to listen because there is that familiarity with it. So if you guys would share this content with somebody that you think might resonate, that would be a huge, awesome gift to me, and I really appreciate it. And thank you once again to all the people who do tune in and the people who write and either send comments or questions. It means a lot to me, and I do try to get back to everybody. So give me some time, even if it takes a couple weeks. I always do my best to get back to everybody. And if I do forget about you, please don't don't take it personally. Sometimes things fall through the cracks. I'm only human, and they get me with the mind energy sometimes, and so sometimes I make mistakes, or things get fall through the cracks, like I said. But I'm allowing myself that grace. There's the perfect example. I used to beat myself up for that stuff too. Oh, how did I let that slip through the cracks? I can't believe I missed that. And that's just beating yourself up. It's not worth it. It's not worth. Things happen. I'm missing half of my thumb. I don't know if I ever showed you guys. Things happen. You got to forgive yourself, give yourself grace, and move on. Anyways, I haven't shared that story. I don't want to put you on a timeline. Anyways, I think I might have shared it, but it doesn't matter. But that's what I wanted to speak about today, was just come on, and foundational healing is very important. Giving yourself that grace period, that graciousness, however you want to define, becoming, letting it flow through you, letting go of those densities, all those thoughts of how we had to be, and how we had to how we had to act, and what other people might think. Let it all go, and just be graceful, and just don't care. But let me know how you guys, if you're implementing things, your seeds of intention for 2026, what you're doing. Let me know if you're able to do things like sacred manner. Like I always say, do things in a sacred manner. Eckhart totally. But that's how, sacred and graceful. That's, to me, they're one and the same. Like sacred means be graceful with it. Like if something is sacred, then you should be graceful with it, because it's, sacred seems important or very, but the truth is, you're sacred. This moment is sacred. Every moment is sacred. Every breath is sacred. Every breath you take is sacred. Every moment of your life is sacred. That's why all the bullshit about dates and religious holidays and all that time, those are all dark side agendas to harvest loosh on specific dates and get energy off people, and mass consciousness and mass events. And like, there's no one date or specific dates that are more holy than thou. Even the equinoxes, I went down that road too, because I was like anti-religion and corporation days and anti this, and and then I celebrated the equinoxes, and those are just other things. There's still people out there doing the same dark side mind energy things on those dates as well. So every moment's just as sacred as the fucking next. This moment is beautiful. This moment is sacred. This one too. This one too. And the next one, even after you turn off this video, it's going to be sacred as well. And so allow yourself that grace, and drop some comments, questions, suggestions down below, or hit me up in an email. And I did write email down this time, so I will not forget to put it in the links down below. And what is it? I think it's just, it might just be RAWBANDERSON@gmail.com. Or maybe there's 4 zeros, Rob Anderson. I don't know. Anyways, I'll put it in the link down below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be gracious, move with grace, take the grace period for yourself, whatever you want to do it, however you want to explain it. I hope that 2026 year, the 2026 year, that you have a lot more grace and graciousness, not only shown towards you, but you can show towards others. And let's just bring that all in to earth, because that's what we need. And if it starts within, it will be reflected without. I totally believe that. Maybe not all the time, but you don't have to react to the demons and aliens trying to trigger you to get your life force energy. So you can just be graceful all the time, because graceful, peaceful, I think those are two very good things to aim for in 2026. Anyways, I love you guys. Wishing you much peace, awesomeness, and gratitude, gracefulness. All of the above. I don't know where the stop recording sign went. Oh, there it is. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Big part of foundational healing is being gracious towards yourself. So that's why I did this week's episode on grace, because I wish somebody would have told me that 10 years ago. Anyways, I'm telling myself now, so there's no time like the present, right? Anyways, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.